Hey everybody, this is Psalmist Shane Means, and you're locked into Word Inspiration with Damian Scarlett.
Starting off our show differently this morning, you're listening to the sound of Minister Alex Young inside Word Inspiration.
But we got to believe in the Most High.
Giving us this one called the Most High.
When you feel so pressured and you feel so discouraged, you got to fight. Yes, you.
It's a beautiful morning to give God thanks and praises. Let me take this opportunity to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all our listeners. As we start our program, may you be encouraged and continue to put your faith in the Lord.
Cause I know for you he will fight. He will never leave your side. He will never leave your side. Won't you trust in the Most High?
This is your host, Damien, and you're locked into the Word Inspiration podcast. And today is a special show, and we have a special guest in our midst. We will be talking to an international author, Jamaican-born and fashion icon, Paul Fearon, who released his book recently called Tailored Faith. Tailored Fate. We learn a lot more about that. And by the looks of his attire, the cover of the book, looking at him here in studio, it's not just his faith that is tailored, but also his suits. And we will learn much more about that in a little while. Though we are listening to the audio version, you will also have an opportunity to watch the show on our YouTube channel, the Word Inspiration Podcast. We are coming to you live from the Pure Music Studios here in Jamaica. And just a reminder, you can listen in via our website, on the Podbean app, the Deezer app, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. We're everywhere. Stay tuned as our guest is ready and excited to share his story with us. Today's show is also sponsored by Ship to Shore. Ship your packages to Jamaica with certainty. That's ship your packages to Jamaica with certainty. For more information on online shopping, barrels, and clearance of boxes and so on, give them a call at 876-831-7012 or check them out on Instagram at Ship to Shore or visit the website at shiptoshoreja.com. This is the Word Inspiration, renewing your mind and increasing your spiritual health. Produced by Damon Scarlett, Matthew McHale, and Elwater Foreman. Let's take a quick break and we'll be right back after this.
He will never leave your side. He will never leave your side. Won't you trust in the Most High? Check. Word inspiration, yes, this is the station to tune into God's inspiration with Damian Scarlett. Good morning, yeah. Word inspiration, yes, this is the station to tune into God's inspiration with Damian Scarlett. Yo, this is Alex Young, just blessing up Damon Scarlett on a Word Inspiration. Yo, tune in and have it locked each and every morning. Good morning, what a go on. Yo, Alex Young said that. Peace.
Welcome back to our show. This is a special episode of the Word Inspiration Podcast, and we're so glad you could have joined us today. Here in studios, we're coming to you live from the Pure Music Studios, and we're talking to a special guest, Paul Fearon, an author, a musician, a family man, a fashion icon, and specialist. And we'll be hearing a lot more about his journey. And as we're getting things started off in this segment, as you heard earlier on, that today's podcast is being sponsored by Ship to Shore. And also we have endorsing our episode today, LED Innovation, and we'll be hearing a lot more about what they have to offer coming up a little later on in our episode. So we're glad that you could have joined us today. We are here and we are talking with our special guest, Paul Fearon. We're getting ready to go. And we are most grateful that you are listening to us today. And as we are here, Paul, welcome to our show. Welcome to Word Inspiration.
Thank you so much, Damien. It's a pleasure to be here.
How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. I'm excited.
Okay,
doing well.
awesome. And just to say that he was born in St. Catherine, Jamaica, and is a proud past student of his alma mater, St. Catherine Primary and St. Jago High School. Wow. Good schools there.
Yes, sir.
It's not the school that I went to, but we won't get into that part of the conversation. He has had experience working in the banking sector before he migrated to Canada in 1996. I think I was this year's old at that time, and later on he migrated to the United States, where he resides currently here in Jamaica on vacation. A father of 2 sons, a musician, a fashion lover with a social media following of approximately 12,000 people. Is that correct, Paul?
It's in excess of 12,000.
In excess of 12,000.
It is correct. It is correct.
Wow. So first thing, let me just say, we have an elder at our church here in Jamaica. His name is also Paul Fearon.
Oh,
so
really?
when I saw this, one of our friends at church connected me with Paul and said that, listen, I have a friend here in Jamaica, just released his book and he wants to share it with the world, and so he approached me. So big up to Claude Cox,
Yes.
wherever you are.
Big up, Claude.
And as I said, my elder's name is Paul Fearon, but we're not talking to that Paul today. We are talking to the author himself, the fashion icon, Mr. Paul Fearon. Again, how are you doing? What have you been up to lately?
I'm doing well. I have just been living one day at a time, trusting God daily. Here promoting my book, doing a little bit of networking and all that good stuff, between the fashion and the book. So I'm doing well. I can't complain.
Wonderful. And when I start my podcast shows, well, these special shows as I call them, I like to check in with our guests in terms of how have you been coping during COVID-19? The last 10 months have been very rough and challenging for many of us. So we're at the end of the year. How did you find out? How have you been surviving?
You know what, Damien, like I said, I've just been living one day at a time. COVID-19 hit. And, of course, it's affected everybody globally. None of us have been exempt. For me, it affected me positively and negatively. But in general, this might sound very weird, but it is out of COVID that this book was birthed. So on one hand, I lost my job due to COVID, but then it was the inspiration to say, hey, you know what? Let's release Tailored Faith Over Faith. So, it's one of those situations where they always say out of evil always comes good.
Always comes good.
So
yes.
I'm grateful.
Right, and the book, the cover of the book is very much tailored. Tailored Faith, Faith, and Tailored Fate, Fate. And we're going to be talking a lot more about that. But before we get into the main session, and the real reason why we're here, could you tell us a little bit more about your journey? Who is Paul? I know a little earlier on we mentioned that you also had banking experience, you have a family. So Tell us a little bit about who you are.
So, Paul, in a nutshell, it may sound cliche. I'm an easygoing guy, but really I am. I'm a lover of fashion. I love music.
Yeah.
My faith is also very integral in my lifestyle.
Right.
So grew up in Jamaica. Like you said, went to St. Catherine High, then went to St. Jago, then worked in the banking sector, and then immigrated to Canada, 1996, where I served in various leadership roles in the church, worked as a production accountant over there, and then later on, moved to Florida. I have 2 sons, Liam and Aiden, 20 and 16. They still reside in Canada. A lover of music,
Well,
lover of
shout
sports.
out to your sons.
Big up Liam and Aiden, wherever you are. I think
Wherever you
you're
are
supposed to be at school,
in
like
school.
hopefully. Yeah. But so I'm a lover of sports, track and field,
Yes.
basketball, soccer, love sports, love fashion, of course. So in a nutshell, that's basically, and I love people. I love interacting with people, meeting people,
Yes.
sharing experiences. That's who I am in general. I love music, of course, and love my Christian faith.
Okay, and
Yeah.
we are so glad to have you here on Word Inspiration. I know, apart from your social media account, you are all. I've seen you on TV. I won't call the station name, but I've seen you on national television, just
Yes.
promoting your work and what you've been doing, and that is very much commendable. And you are Jamaican, so I have to big up the Jamaicans who are doing a very good job and making impact.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Right, and you, I was going over your bio, and I've seen where you've had experience in church leadership,
Yes.
here in Jamaica, Canada, and Florida. What were some of those leadership roles that you were involved in, and were there any teachable moments that stood out for you,
Yeah.
while you were in those roles?
Yeah. So for me, I was born and raised in the church. Pretty much, that's all I ever knew. My father was a preacher. My mom was a missionary. So, growing up in Jamaica, we are exposed to church from as early as we're born. So,
Right.
being in church, there's always a person or persons who saw, I don't know, I suppose leadership role in me, and they're always pushing me. For me, I'm always the one who would shy away from it. And so, while I was in Jamaica, I was heading up. There's a fellowship in my church, the Junior Christian Fellowship,
Okay.
which was like from ages from as young as 11 to like 18.
Right.
And so we would do meet every Sunday. So I was over that. I had to be doing sermons at age 12. And
Wow.
and then immigrated to Canada. And because church was so much, has always been a part of me. Of course, I am here. I went to Bible school. I started JTS here.
Wow.
Yeah,
Jamaica Theological
exactly.
Seminary.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. I did 2 terms here before went to Canada. Went to Whole Life Ministries Bible School with Reverend Al Miller.
Fellowship
Exactly. So you
Tabernacle.
already know what
Wow.
time it is, right?
Yeah.
So church has always been a part of me. So when I immigrated to Canada, boom, I went there playing music. So I went playing music, and then from playing music, my pastor would say, "Hey, I see leadership role in you."
Yes.
As over the youth department for a while. I was assisting with the men's department, and then I became the general secretary for the organization, and then I became the
Wow.
international administrator for the organization. So
Wait.
church has always been a part of me.
Wow, you wear many hats.
Yeah, I did. And then immigrated again to Florida.
To Florida.
And it was by virtue of association with church in Canada why I moved to Florida. And then, of course, I was thrust into leadership role again as director for music and multimedia.
Wow.
And then became assistant pastor at some point. So it's
At
been
a church in Florida?
at a church in Florida.
Wow, so we'll have pastors and pastors here on the show.
Yeah, it's
I'm so grateful when I hear persons share their journey
Yes.
and how the Lord has been taking them through the different stages.
Absolutely.
It's commendable, and how God gives us not only one gift. I mean, if you have one gift, that is good.
That's cool.
But the several gifts that He gives to us, it
Absolutely.
helps to the building up of the body of Christ.
Absolutely.
And I'm hearing that not only in your work as an author, but also leadership roles as well. Music. It's
Yes.
very much commendable.
Thank you.
Wow. Well, we are learning a little bit more about our special guest today inside the Word Inspiration podcast. When we return, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to talk about the actual book itself, Tailored Faith Over Faith. And don't switch that channel. Stay tuned. We'll soon forward right after these messages. LED Innovation, make your ride bright and unique. For all your LED light bulbs, please contact them at 876-339-9779. That's 876-339-9779. Or you can check them out on Instagram at LED Innovation _JA. or you can also send them an email at ledinnovationja@gmail.com. LED Innovation, partnering with the Word Inspiration Podcast.
Thanks for watching this edition of Word Inspiration with your host, Damian Scarlett. Join us next time for another episode of the Word Inspiration Podcast, renewing your mind and increasing your spiritual health.